yesterday when I got to work, one of my co-workers handed me this manila envelope, and on it said to Michael, and then it said don't open until you get home. So my coworker hands me the envelope and says, "Hey, what's in it? Let's check it out. Let's see what's in there." And I'm like, "Oh, well, it says don't open until I get home." "I'll just do it now." I'm like, "No, I gotta honor this person's request. If they don't want me to open it till I get home, don't do it till I get home." So that night when I got home, I opened it up, and there was this book inside called Life is Messy. I'm not really quite sure what it's about yet, but it's written by somebody named Matthew Kelly. Life is Messy. Interesting title. So one of my customers, a person whose hair I do, she's the one that brought the book in. I did her hair like a week ago or so, and not only did she bring me a book, but she put this letter inside of the book. And so I opened up the letter and read it, and then I texted her and asked if it's cool if I share this letter without mentioning her name in it or anything, and she said sure. And there's reasons for it. I want you to hear this. It's dated January 30th, 2022. So that's when she wrote the letter, and then yesterday she delivered the book with the letter. Today is February 3rd of 2022. So, dear Michael, my heart is so full. I wanted to say this in the salon, but for obvious reasons I did not. I have been suicidal since I was in my teens. Basically since I knew there was such a thing. My mom once told me that my dad said he wished he could crawl into a hole and pull the hole in after him. Yes, that is it exactly. So at least I know I come by this way of thinking, honestly. So at least I know I come by this way of thinking, honestly. So she must be saying that she thinks this way because this is something that she perhaps had got from her dad, right? Because it sounds like he wanted to crawl in a hole and just bury himself, right? So she says, I'm still alive primarily because I don't want to go to hell. So she must have been raised with the belief that if you commit suicide, you're going to go to hell. So she's still alive. Basically, she hasn't killed herself because she doesn't want to go to hell. That's number one. And secondarily, because when I was 25, my older brother shot himself fatally. Our family was permanently impacted, and I could not see my way clear to do that to them again. You understand? So her brother killed himself, and she didn't want to put her family through the pain of losing another child. My sister attempted suicide in 2004. Man, a family of suicide. I'm so familiar with this, you guys. This is my family. My sister attempted suicide in 2004 while her son was on his honeymoon in Italy. Not a good look. The reason was incredibly lame, but the interesting part is that she was allowed to return to work as a nurse after it was determined that she didn't really want to die. She cut across the wrist rather than parallel to the arteries. The other nurses marveled, "But you always seem so cheerful." Well, yes, you don't want to go around telling people you are depressed, do you? That brings me to you. So now she's saying that brings me to you, to me. In addition to being a superior stylist, you probably don't realize how much you do for people when you let them tell you what is troubling them. How much people have been helped by your videos. So she must watch my videos too. How much you have enriched people's lives by praying for them. Everyone is fighting a terrible battle. That is probably a quote from someone famous as told to me by my other sister, rest in peace. So she has another sister who had passed away. We need to handle everyone with care. I agree. I'm sorry if I ever failed to respect the cross that you carry. I can't recall if I did, but it is always possible. So she's apologizing just in case she ever disrespected the cross that I carry. She's apologizing for that. She goes on to say, this book is not well written, but the guy meant well. I hope some part of it is helpful. And I'm sure it will be. And that's a beautiful letter. I'll talk about it as I'm driving, but I want to share another something with you before we take off here. In Matthew chapter 15, starting in verse 22, and behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and was crying. There's a Canaanite woman crying out to Jesus, have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon. But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, send her away, for she's crying out after us. He answered, I was sent. Now he answers the lady, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But she came, and she did something in Greek called proskuneo. Your Bible might say she knelt before him, but it's proskuneo, which is, it means worship. And it also means to lick the hand like a dog does its master. To lick the hand like a dog does its master. Okay, remember that. So she came up and proskuneoed before him and said, Lord, help me. She says, Lord again. And then she says, help me. She's asking for mercy. She's asking for help. And he answered, it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Now listen, pause right here. The word dogs is kunerion in Greek. But there's another word for dog in Greek, which is kuon. It's in 2 Peter 2:22, where Peter says a dog returns to its vomit. And a kuon is a dog. It's a dog. It even scavenges, like in the dog family, like coyotes and wolves and such. It's that kind of a dog. But, so that's kuon in 2 Peter 2:22 for dog. But in this instance, Jesus says it's not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the kunerion, which is literally a puppy, a little house dog or a puppy. So a dog that you take care of in your arms, in your home, you feed it, you cherish it. It's so cute. It's a little puppy. Everybody loves puppies. So Jesus is saying it's not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the puppies. The children of who? Of Israel. He says, I was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So you might be a lost sheep, but you're not of the house of Israel. You're of the house of Canaan. But she says to him in verse 27, yes, Lord, yet even the puppies eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table, or in Greek, their Lord's table. Kurios, it means master or Lord. So even the puppies eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. And Jesus says to her in verse 28, O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire. And her daughter was healed instantly, which is the Greek words, two words, hora and ekainos. Hora is a time period or an hour. Ekainos is that one or that very time. So the very hour, that very hour, or instantly, or at that very moment, her daughter was healed, or her daughter was delivered from this crazy oppression by a demon. So the woman got what she desired. And she mentioned breadcrumbs. Now, you know, there's so much to that. You think of breadcrumbs, and you think of something very, very small. Perhaps you even feel like all the Lord ever gives you are breadcrumbs in life. Everybody else gets to partake of the bread, but you maybe a couple breadcrumbs here and there. I know. Caused me a lot of depression in my life. Overwhelming depression that led me to attempting suicide 5 times in my life. Thinking that the Lord just didn't care about me. I'm never going to be good enough or measure up to his standards. I'm never going to be a true follower of Christ. I'm just a loser, a failure. And I wreak havoc everywhere I go. You know, I felt that way. And it's a battle. I still have to battle those kinds of feelings. Because those feelings want to come back. So I'm very understanding about this. And this woman and I, we must have talked a lot about these types of things, you know. I must have shared my experience with her. I'm in a business. I do people's hair, so it's one-on-one, and we have conversations. I have conversations with everybody in my chair. What is really nice about that letter she sent me isn't for you guys to hear, oh, look at Michael, he's so great, going around and changing lives. No, I'm actually the guy that, you know, Jesus talks about a couple different people that are going to go to him and say in that day, hey, Lord, Lord. One of them says, Lord, Lord. Guess what? I've been keeping a record of everything I've done for you. I know that there's rewards for me awaiting me in heaven. Rewards. Rewards for what? Well, here's the list, Lord. I keep record. I heal the sick. I raise the dead. I casted out demons. I've done all of this great stuff in your name. Obviously, power was flowing in the name of Jesus. But then you got the other person that says, Lord, what did I ever do for you? They're not keeping a record. They don't say, Lord, here's my record of all my stuff I've done so I can get rewards. They just say, Lord, when did I ever do anything, really? There's a different mindset. The mindset that goes and says, listen, I've done all this stuff. I've done all this stuff. Give me my rewards. Jesus says, you know, I never knew you, which in Greek means there was never intimacy between the two of us. It's gnosko in Greek. I never gnosko you. There was no intimacy. Yeah, you did all this stuff in my name, but you never really knew me. I never knew you. You think you knew me through your performance, right? But the other person that thinks that the Lord doesn't know who they are at all, he knows them. It's an interesting mindset, you guys. It reminds me of the flesh going. The flesh wants to boast. The flesh wants to brag. The flesh wants to do. The flesh wants you to keep record of its doings. But then when the flesh fails, oh no, please erase that record. Jesus says to that flesh person of you, I never knew you. That's not how I know you. So that part of you can get away from me because I never knew you. That part of you is a worker of lawlessness. What do you mean? That part of me did all these good things in your name. No. That was my spirit. That was moving. It wasn't you, the flesh. So get away, because your flesh is a worker of lawlessness. No matter how much law it thinks it keeps, it's still lawless. Do you understand? So back to the breadcrumbs and puppies. Puppies and breadcrumbs. I've been thinking about puppies and breadcrumbs as I've been reading that verse and meditating on it. And then I get this letter from this woman and I'm reading it and I honored her. I didn't open it at work like my coworker wanted me to do because she asked me not to, so I didn't. It was nobody else's business but mine. But then I got permission because I texted her and thanked her so much for the gift and the amazing letter that she wrote. Thank you for sharing your heart with me. And said, I'd love to share it with my viewers on YouTube. And I said, I won't use her name. And so she says, sure. So I thought that would be good because Maybe that touches some of your hearts, and those of you that think you're all alone and only feeding on maybe even breadcrumbs in life. Well, you got lots of people out there that have compassion for you and are going through similar things. Let me tell you something about breadcrumbs, though. I know all about this. Doggies, little doggies, man. Me and my roommates, we babysit their daughter's little doggy all the time. That little doggy's been on my video before. I made a video of me holding her. Her name's Luna, which means moon. Did you know a lunatic? It's a Greek word. We get lunatic from a Greek word. It means people that are affected by the moon. Sometimes they're called epileptic. There's different words for it. But lunatic is one of the words, and it's somebody that's affected by the moon. Anyway, Luna is the name of the doggy. Their daughter's dog, my roommate's daughter's dog, is just a little puppy. But she's growing so fast. But boy, oh boy, if you're eating around her, she'll follow you wherever you go, hoping that you drop just a little crumb. It doesn't matter, just drop something, because she wants it. The little puppies, the little house dogs, they love the breadcrumbs. You understand? Now listen, to an ant, you drop a breadcrumb on the ground, to an ant, that is a feast. You understand? Can you imagine, like when Jesus was telling that lady, the Canaanite woman, I didn't come to deliver bread, healing. Do you understand? Bread and healing. That bread that represents his body. His body was broken so that you could be repaired. His body was beaten so that you could be healed. So healing. She's wanting healing. She's wanting deliverance for her daughter. Jesus said, that's for only the children of Israel. Not for somebody like yourself. Cute as a little puppy. Yes, a little puppy. Puppies don't get it. Only the children get the bread. But she says, yes, but the puppies, they get the breadcrumbs. Because when the master of the house is eating, the breadcrumbs fall and the puppy gets the breadcrumbs from the master's table. Just give me a breadcrumb, Lord. See, she wasn't looking at the physical, the fleshly, the carnal kind of thinking. Oh, it must take a huge piece of bread to get my daughter healed. No, I just need a crumb. Just give me a crumb. Can you imagine when Jesus was passing out the bread to his disciples and they're feeding all the thousands of people with just 2 small fish and 5 pieces of bread, and he's distributing it out, and it feeds over 5,000 plus people. But I'm sure there were crumbs that were falling to the ground, and I'm sure there were little ants carrying those little crumbs. And for the ants, that was an all-you-can-eat buffet. It was a feast. See, it's all in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? Now, you might be one of those people that might feel like you're worthless. I do nothing for God. I bury my talents. I'm just very sure of it. All those other people, they're multiplying the talents that he gave them, the gifts that he gave them. But with the gifts that he's given me, what am I doing? I'm not using them. I'm just keeping them inside. That's called burying them. But these other people, they take one gift he gives them and multiply it by 30. Another person takes one gift he gives them and multiplies it by 60. Another person takes just one little gift and multiplies it by 100. And he says, well done. But what about me? I'm worthless. I don't do nothing. You don't know that. Do you know how many times I wonder, like, I get letters from people and emails from people all the time thanking me, you guys. But there's, for some reason in me, it's just like, I don't do, Lord, look at all this great stuff. I don't do that. That's just not who I am. Look at me, Lord. I make all these videos. I'm changing lives. I'm preventing suicide. No. I just don't. That's not how my mind thinks. I'm more like the other person. Lord, when did I ever help anybody? Ah, my son, the breadcrumbs you left. You were scattering breadcrumbs, unbeknownst to you. And just because, like that lady, I might not be one of you. I might not get the bread, but you call me a puppy, and guess what? Puppies eat the crumbs. You know, I have no idea who these videos, who they affect. Are they just the people that are of my kind, believers in Christ? Or is it affecting people that don't have a belief, or people that feel hopeless, or people of different religions and faiths and stuff? You never know what kind of change you can make in somebody's life. You might just be dropping breadcrumbs everywhere and not even aware of it. It's like my friend Doug from years ago when I told him, well, Doug's still a friend, but years ago, I told him this. I said, Doug, you remind me of Johnny Appleseed. Now, you guys remember the story of Johnny Appleseed? He's running around all over the place and just scattering his apple seeds and planting apple trees all over the place. But I told my friend Doug, but you're Johnny Appleseed with a hole in the bag. Because Doug is a very giving person and changes lives, and he's not even aware of it. He does so much, but he never talks about what he does. All the good he does. It's like he's not even aware of it. He's just doing it. He's just being it. It's like Johnny Appleseed, having no clue that he's scattering seeds and planting trees because there's a little hole in his bag, and these seeds are just coming out of the hole and going into the ground. And they're being planted. And he's clueless about it. You're like that Johnny Appleseed, you guys. Maybe you're that person that's not keeping track, not going to the Lord saying, Lord, here's my reward stuff. Come on. Gimme. You're the one that says, Lord, when did I ever do anything right? And he says, well, guess what? I made a list. I recorded everything you did right in heaven. Do you want to hear it? Here it goes. Maybe one of those things was so small in your eyes, like a breadcrumb, but to the Lord, like an ant, it was a feast. Maybe one of those small little things was you're walking into the grocery store and some little elderly woman who doesn't get recognized anymore. Maybe back in the day she was pretty, she was this, she was that, she was young, she had the body, she had the looks. But now she's gray and her back is hunched over and she can barely walk. Wrinkles all over her face. You know, maybe her body has all these spots on it from getting cancers burnt off and removed. And she's, in her mind, she's brokenhearted. She's crying inside, not on the outside because she's not showing that, but on the inside she's crying. People don't recognize her anymore. People don't, wow, look at you, you're so beautiful. And she wonders, does God even see me anymore? Has he ever seen me? She's forgotten. Maybe she's praying, God, am I anybody anymore? Have I ever been anybody? Doesn't anybody ever, do they recognize me? Do you see me, Lord? And suddenly you, my friend, you, the breadcrumb dropper, you walk by as she's coming out of the store and you're going in. You look at her, you smile, and you say, hello. You have no idea what that did for that woman. But God knows. You gave that little puppy a breadcrumb. She don't feel like one of you. I'm not young anymore. I'm not attractive anymore. My mind doesn't even think right. Maybe she's thinking suicide. Maybe she lost her husband. Maybe she lost every one of her relatives. Her parents aren't here anymore. Her brothers and sisters, they died. But you came along and answered her prayer, unbeknownst to you. Just a breadcrumb. But for that woman, that little breadcrumb, that woman that doesn't fit in with you, so she's like the Canaanite, the puppy. I'm not the child, I'm just a puppy. I'm an outsider. I'm old. My days are over. But you went and put that spark right back into her again, ignited that fire. You understand that? You changed a life without even knowing it. It's such an honor and a privilege to be able to hear from people that there's just something that was maybe spoken over them. Maybe it was the words I said, or maybe I prayed over them, touched them, whatever it was. Just hearing that it was life-changing. Because I can look at myself in the mirror and I can point out every flaw. And I'm sure there's more that I can't really see. I'm sure there's more flaws. And I can tell you about the inner flaws. Not in my spirit, but I'm talking about those fleshly flaws and the battles of the mind. I can point out all this terrible stuff about me, right? And get super down and super down. But if the Lord can still use somebody like me and help change the lives of others, you don't know how humbling that is, but what an honor it is as well. And I still don't ever think I'm going to say, Lord, didn't I do all these great things? Here's my list. I wrote it down. Let me read it to you, Lord. No, I'd rather go to him and be like, Lord, here I am. I don't know if I've ever done anything really right. I don't know what I've done, but here I am. And he says, well, son, I made a list. I kept a record. Want to hear it? Here it goes. You never know, you guys. Those breadcrumbs add up to so much. Anyway, I hope this message has been a blessing to you. You never know when you're changing somebody's life, right? Know your identity, though. Know your identity. Know who you are in Christ and who Christ is in you. Discover the gifts that he's given you and learn to use those gifts, right? Keep your eyes on him. Keep your eyes on him. That's what that woman did. Great was her faith because it was in him. She was a Canaanite. She was an outsider, but she still went to him. And she even tried to use some neat little words. Maybe this will get him to notice me. Lord, Son of David. Oh, she recognizes him, right? She's trying to flatter him. I didn't come for you, lady. And she kneels down and does proskuneo, like a dog licking its master's hand. Jesus says, I didn't come to give the bread to those that aren't the children of Israel. And she says, but even the puppies eat from the... She says, he says, I didn't come to give the bread to non-Israelite children and give it to dogs instead. But the dogs means puppies. Remember that, puppies. I didn't come to give it to puppies. And she says, yes, but the puppies even eat the crumbs from the master's table. That is faith. That is faith. So when you're praying or talking to the Lord, don't beg and plead, and he doesn't need to hear that. Go with faith. Your faith grabs hold of everything, of him. Just remember, he is for you, you guys. He's not against you. He is for you, right? And when you know he is for you and that he has gifted you with much, you will deliver much. Anyway, just want you to think about that. I love you guys. Have a great day. And I'll see you all in the next video.